Is Gavin Newsom running for president in 2028? Well, nothing official is announced yet, but all signs are pointing to exactly that. Look no further than his 2-day tour he just kicked off in South Carolina. Of course, South Carolina is a critical early primary state, one that historically has been pivotal for parties selecting their presidential nominee. Now, so far, Newsom is checking off all of the boxes of what a presidential hopeful would be doing. Take it from me, I covered the Iowa caucuses in 2020. That includes going to smaller rural towns and meeting with voters in diners, coffee shops, shaking hands, doing the whole song and dance. And reporters on the ground say that there have been 2 different themes emerging from his conversations that he's been having. On one hand, he has been calling on Republican voters in particular to use their moral authority to stand up to President Donald Trump. And some of his other conversations with these South Carolinians have been focused more on the need for diverse conversations with people who have different political backgrounds. And if that sounds familiar to you, that's because that was his primary reason, so he says, when he launched his podcast at the beginning of this year, immediately drawing some criticism from some within his own party about the types of people he invited on the show to begin with. He had Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, really strong conservative firebrands, as opposed to Newsom, who has a reputation of being a progressive. And some speculate that he's used that podcast as means to maybe come more to the center, something that a presidential candidate would need to do. Especially given on that podcast, he has walked back some of his key progressive policies, like the comments he made about transgender athletes. And even more recently, in the face of a budget deficit, he walked back his signature Medicaid for all, Medi-Cal for all in California by cutting off enrollment to undocumented immigrants in California. Even though we've been seeing a shift in the political rhetoric, he also has recently returned to his resistance leader, if you will, voice when it comes to his ongoing fights with President Donald Trump. I've been reporting a ton on the lawsuit over Trump's deployment of the National Guard to Los Angeles. That's not the only lawsuit that California has going on against the Trump administration right now. Worth noting, there was a recent poll that showed while voters welcomed him taking on this more adversarial role with President Trump, they weren't exactly pleased with the overall direction of the state under his leadership. If you're new here, my name is Monica. I cover politics for ABC 7 News in the Bay Area. I've been talking about a lot of these topics in my recent videos, so check those out for more context and background. Comment any thoughts or questions that you all have, and like and follow for more.